in this part 2, I'm going to focus on how 5D mystic, functional adult, responsible human being. But again, to be responsible means you can be yourself with flaws and imperfections, make mistakes, a lot of them, be woo-woo, pseudoscience, don't matter. Responsible means you're able to actually speak because you're not trying to prove points. See, the adaptive child emotionally is the one who tries to prove points, which is why we have The Average Bear, the movies, just go watch them. Or, people who are in politics throwing chairs at each other. I find that very, what's the word? So here's where the human species is awesome. I'm human and I know our optimal potential, and now I can even explain it. But the word that I was looking for is that I find it, I wanted to use disappointing, but this is that part. I don't have childhood trauma. I don't have my fight-flight mode engaged. I don't have emotional insecurity. I actually am pretty good with it. Whoever I am, whatever you want to use as a word, I'm not actually heartbroken in any way, shape, or form. That's the point. I don't have the shame little social button or the shame little social emotion. And I say little because, see, well, Sadhguru has a way he explains it as a spirituality guru. I, with the Enlightenment, so age will explain it humanly speaking. The people who have heartbreak, gut wrench, torn apart feeling, thank you, Bezo van der Kolk, they have a shame defectiveness button. The different groups, from what I've gathered, thank you, Patrick Tiahan, is that some are childhood trauma survivors, and those are the people who are victims of the 4D collective and the traditional cults and the culty cults, which is why, at least if we have ethical cults, not that I don't like to use the word cults, but there's this person, his name's Jamie Wheel, and he's the bestseller, Pulitzer Prize nominated Stealing Firehouse, Silicon Valley Navy SEAL. Anyways, he's got a whole title. But basically, in this interview on Big Think, he talks about how humans are highly conscious of social status. So see, some people, we don't do things because of trending topics. That's the responsible people. But that's because we're truly self-empowered. We have what Terry Real, thank you, another lovely therapist, points out as healthy self-worth. I'm not superior or inferior to you. Don't matter how many licenses you may have. I got plenty of my own, not licenses, certificates, masters, bachelors. I could have gone a PhD. I mean, I don't really think that, it makes me laugh every time somebody's like, here, let me prove to you. I've had some people do that. It's like, okay, don't worry. You know what makes me know if you care about what you do? The way you talk about it. Oh, and the way you answer my questions. And yes, the way you're actually open to telling me that I can go to other people too. That makes me even more knowledgeable that you're not afraid of competition, which means that you're confident in a way that's genuine. And you will also note anybody who's responsible, again, emotionally mature. It's like the little bird that gets kicked out of the nest, but that's nature's way. Humanly speaking, we can't get kicked out of the nest because that's not how humans work. We are the species who actually needs good parenting in the sense of skin and close contact and reassurance. And for as much as some people want to go back to, yes, let me go read what Jamie Wheel. See, some of us, we're not fond of the silverback idea, which is why we don't do cults. We do, let me teach, let me empower you, let me show you the way to what true, again, self-worth is. I'm not inferior or superior to you. And feeling that way, some of us have always felt this way. The ones who didn't and don't, some have childhood trauma in a way that they need a good therapist for their childhood trauma and their codependent type attachment wounds, not just the holistic stuff. And when I've seen my colleagues, shamans and tarot readers and mystics tell somebody in their little courses or their little ads, I can replace years and years of psychology. I'm like, okay, now that is not only irresponsible, it is not true, and you should nowhere near in heck say something like that if you are actually looking to help a person. Because now all I know you're doing is trying to sell your service, not to mention you just did something that's completely irresponsible. And that's by speaking those words in and of themselves. I have been actually by other professionals in my own personal life, but I know personalities. So, I mean, this person, great professional, has helped me with my back. I have scoliosis. They got a bit of an attitude. They can't take criticism. They're definitely reactive in a variety of ways that are not quite good. But this is the part where I laugh just because it's like I already knew he had some level of insecurity. long story short, when I presented to him that I had found something that could help my back more, he wasn't supportive of it. He actually made a very snarky comment and said, don't think it's going to be a magic wand and fix your back or something like that. And I'm like, wow, that's really unnecessary. But again, I was like, oh my God, he offended me, because I have the emotional maturity of a functional adult. I'm not ego sensitive. And I understand that some people don't know how to behave. Their nastiness isn't nastiness because they're evil or devils or demons. They actually have no ownership of their prefrontal cortex. Their amygdala is alert, alert, alert. They've learned how to behave from movies. Just go watch them. I mean, we got, again, political people throwing chairs at each other. So we do come from the ancients, which is why some people want to go, but they think we're going soft. No, we're going humane is what we are, and that's because, thank goodness, we have those who connect to their wise adult. The prefrontal cortex, some people don't have their third eye blocked, I guess. Some witches didn't get their third eye blocked. I mean, the reality is the third eye is all about introspection. But anyways, that's a side note. So this person says, humans are highly conscious of social status. And there is a part, it's the singular, I think it's here too. And then there's another part in our brain that also makes us aware of social status. Some of us just, we're not going to be like, oh, let me hold back my thoughts because somebody's going to tell me, oh, you're a woo lady, pseudoscience lady. That's funny. We love our naysayer. He gave me so much good food for thought. And anyways, so we are tribal primates. Some are not. Some of us are actual human, and that's about it. We're not doing the primates. We love the primates, but who are wired to seek silverback. Nobody's wired permanently. It's your own brain, FYI. So the whole wiring thing makes it look like you don't have a way out. You do. Thank you, neuroscientific community. I know you're going to prove a lot of things in time, empirically, and that's what I've always loved about the empirical. That's why I am okay with pseudoscience woo-woo lady, because I appreciate scientific methodology. I appreciate education. I appreciate empowering, and I don't think anybody wants to really go back to the dark ages, or maybe some do, maybe some will. They'll live it with their ethical cults or their culty cults or their traditional cults, because the law will always keep an eye on everything, as always. I know some people think it's Big Brother and whatnot, but hey, if you add up the math, you can't lead a world with the way the ancient. I really don't know. Some people, it seems to me, I don't understand how a person, like the flat earthers, again, I don't understand why you would try and change something. It makes no sense. But this makes us prone to cult-like behavior. These are the words. Especially true today with the rise of social media influencers. So I love how they blame social media influencers, like those on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Influencers exist because people want answers. And they find that people they can relate to are the people that they trust. If you learned anything about influencers, and as an online marketer, I did and do, they are people who are chosen because they represent a niche, and they are also chosen by those who follow them because they resonate. So back to responsible online entrepreneurs and marketers. I actually have always been very much against sales pitches because they treat people like basically numbers. But you know how many entrepreneurs I've worked with who want the sales pitch and who call people dumb? And so if you don't even trust your own wit to be able to get out of manipulation and get out of, so this is the average person. Imagine what happens when we have our codependent type people. So long story short, that's why it's a co-collective effort. Thank goodness for 5D educators and 5D mystics and holistics. So the people who are responsible. This is why we talk our heads off, because we're going to explain to you. We're going to also take ownership of what we speak. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to do filters. No, we care. So it's sloppy. It's sloppy because it's emotionally mature, though. The difference is I ain't doing a sales pitch. I'm saying some people don't actually care about your well-being, because if they did, they wouldn't make it into sales pitch, would they? They'd actually educate you. They'd empower you. They wouldn't be, there's some people, they're like little cheerleaders. I don't even know. Again, I have full faith in the human brain, and that's why, thank you, Patrick Tiahan. As he points out, therapy. Good therapy is very important and very useful, and I totally agree, because I've seen the adaptive child who has childhood trauma and their codependent types, and you know who they actually decided to go to? Not the 5D mystic or holistic practitioner who told them how things were and are. No, they're out with the 4D collective. So, long story short, tune in for more and have a great day.